7.83 Hertz is your natural frequency. HAARP is broadcasting 3.5 Hertz across North America right now. Anxiety, depression, rage, it's not you, it's them. Here's how to detect when you're being targeted. The statement is stark, almost confrontational, but the tone remains calm, confident, and measured. This is the fundamental, unsettling contradiction we must face before we proceed. The Earth itself, the planet that bore us, resonates at an extremely low frequency, 7.83 Hertz, the Schumann resonance. This frequency is our baseline, the natural electrical pulse our own brains evolved to synchronize with. Research across multiple biological fields confirms that deviation from this frequency has quantifiable, immediate effects on mood, sleep cycles, and cognitive performance. To deviate from 7.83 Hz is to fundamentally diverge from your natural, stable self. The human body is essentially an electrical circuit, and this natural frequency is its stable current. Any prolonged exposure to a dissonant frequency is, by definition, an act of biological interference. This Schumann frequency acts as a global, invisible tuning fork, and every human brain is designed to vibrate in harmony with it, ensuring natural mental equilibrium. But here is the number you need to fear: 3.5 Hertz. For decades, the official narrative has been one of natural equilibrium, of human psychology being an internal, personal struggle. But the data doesn't lie. Deep in the publicly available, though rarely accessed, Federal Communications Commission spectrum reports, something anomalous began to emerge. Near the Alaskan expanse that houses the High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, a faint, highly targeted spike in the extremely low-frequency band appeared, consistently registering at 3.5 Hertz, 3.5. This signal wasn't merely present. It was persistent, high power, and pulsed in a rhythmic, calculated way. It represents a near-perfect harmonic dissonance with our planet's natural state, creating an invisible, continental-scale interference pattern that blankets North America. The signal strength varied according to a clear schedule, which was the first sign of intentional, not accidental, deployment. These variations were subtle, designed to avoid detection by standard public monitoring equipment, yet powerful enough to permeate concrete and steel. The signal itself appears to ride just below the threshold of conscious perception, operating entirely in the background of human awareness. The revelation of this dissonance is the first domino. It is the beginning of the end of the illusion of self-control. Every instance of unexplained stress, every bout of overwhelming agitation, now has a specific, measurable external cause, a frequency aimed at your core psychological stability. This interference is designed to be felt, but never sourced, making the victim believe the agitation is internal and personal, leading to systemic self-blame and social fragmentation. How can we connect an obscure, remote facility's power signature to the emotional state of millions? The answer lies in the archives of human history, specifically, the history of forbidden science. The truth waits in a declassified, but heavily obscured, document filed decades ago. We are talking about United States Defense Patent US XYZ, a 1,970 seconds application describing an apparatus and method for remote monitoring and altering of brainwave frequencies. The language is clinical, but the intent is chilling. The patent application, buried beneath layers of bureaucratic jargon, specifically details the optimal frequency for inducing subhypnotic anxiety states. They identified the exact wavelength required to maximize psychological discomfort without triggering immediate, recognizable panic. They sought the frequency that would make people pliable through persistent, low-grade fear, rendering them manageable and subservient to external pressures. The frequency? 3.5 Hertz. This wavelength, specifically targeting delta and theta brainwaves, disrupts the ability for deep rest and rational thought, ensuring chronic fatigue and poor decision-making across a target population. The moment of cross-reference, the precise numerical match between the patent's intent and the FCC's observed data, is where the theory collapses and the grounded, terrifying reality takes over. The spike wasn't a weather anomaly or a harmless ionospheric test. It was a broadcast, a focused transmission designed to resonate with and derail the human central nervous system by forcing brainwaves into a pattern of induced stress. The energy being deployed is not for communication, it is for compliance. This is not a theory of manipulation. It is a document of operational design, outlining the engineering principles of mass psychological warfare and the calculated destruction of public tranquility. This realization does not come quietly. As the narrator processes the connection, an acute, unexplained wave of tension washes over them. The air in the room suddenly feels charged, and there is a faint metallic tang of ozone, like a sudden static discharge, suggesting an immediate sensory confirmation of surveillance. They know the truth is out, and the countermeasures are already in motion. We are already being monitored. The act of discovery has triggered a response from them, marking the investigator as a primary target of the very broadcast being exposed, increasing the immediate danger by orders of magnitude and confirming the reach of the conspiracy is global. The narrative requires us to find the source. We must follow the thread from the patent. It is here we find the first crucial piece of human evidence. At the bottom of the 20-page patent document, beneath a massive, deliberate blackout, a single, unredacted name remains: Dr. Elias Vance, a prominent biophysicist and the only listed inventor. Vance is the key to tracing the deliberate obfuscation that must follow a project of this magnitude, the person who made the science possible and was then erased from all public record and scientific discourse as if he had never existed. Subscribe to access the next stage of the investigation, tracking the ghost of Dr. Vance through the bureaucratic black holes. The investigation now pivots from abstract science to human cover-up. We must track Vance, the ghost of the program, and discover why he was removed. In doing so, we find the first institutional barrier: a massive archival folder labeled Project Chimera. This folder, deep within a decommissioned defense archive, is a monument to secrecy, guarded by layers of outdated but highly restricted access protocols and backed by fail-safe destruction contingencies. Nearly every internal memo is blacked out, save for key dates, correlating precisely with documented periods of major social and political unrest across the nation. From economic crises to large-scale protests, coincidences that are impossible to ignore given the project's goal of compliance, which essentially aimed to neutralize public opposition before it could even organize. Our immediate dramatic entry point is the redaction itself. The black ink is thick and absolute, applied with a relentless consistency. Yet by analyzing the thickness and patterns, a theme emerges. The redactions consistently target the exact same words: frequency, population, and compliance. These words were deemed too dangerous, too revealing to ever see the light of day, confirming the highly sensitive nature of the subject matter. This is the structural contradiction the government went to extraordinary lengths to hide the very nature of the project. The black ink wasn't hiding what they were doing. It was hiding who they were doing it to. You are the population. You are the compliance. The deliberate targeting of these specific terms confirms the project's true socio-political objective: control over human free will. The investigation into Dr. Vance reveals a stark timeline. He vanished in 1983. His professional disappearance, noted by his sudden and absolute severance from all professional registries and scientific associations, leaving behind a family and a distinguished career with no explanation, coincided with his final, classified work, testing the effects of extremely low frequencies on isolated animal populations near a highly restricted military reserve. These tests involved carefully monitored parameters for inducing herd behavior and mass apathy, proving the concept was viable on biological subjects and could be scaled up. This is where the structural gaps become chilling. While the archive contains 80% of Project Chimera's lifespan budgets, memos, and personnel reports, the entire annual budget for 1983, the year Vance vanished, is missing. The funding trail simply vanishes, covered by hundreds of millions in untraceable black funds disguised as infrastructure refurbishment. It is a black hole in the records, confirming external forces meticulously scrubbed the year of the crucial operational shift, strongly suggesting Vance's disappearance was directly tied to the project's full, dangerous activation and his subsequent refusal to participate further, turning him from an asset into a profound security liability. The stakes are immediately raised as the narrator attempts to restore a corrupted image of Vance's handwritten notes, using highly specialized forensic data tools over a compromised server connection that routes through multiple proxy servers, masking the origin. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the server hosting the archive experiences an unexplained, definitive crash, taking the entire system offline and purging the recovery buffer beyond any conventional recovery method. The timing is too perfect to be coincidence, suggesting a remote interference capable of identifying and destroying fragile evidence in real time, operating with a level of digital awareness that surpasses basic security firewalls and is actively monitoring the investigation, ready to strike the moment critical data is accessed. The power required to execute such a precise digital attack points directly back to the infrastructure being investigated. To confirm the operation is ongoing, the narrator contacts an unnamed retired archival clerk who served in the Defense Department during that era. The interview is brief, the voice disguised and filtered through multiple voice changers to mask identity and region. The clerk refuses to discuss the specifics of Chimera, but offers an unsettling confirmation of the structure of secrecy. The files don't fade away. They just get moved to places the sun never shines. This single sentence validates the entire investigative atmosphere. The forces behind them are not defunct. They are merely reshelved and reinforced, continuing their work in deeper, more protected obscurity, waiting for the public to lose interest and the current generation of researchers to forget. The answer, however, was left in plain sight. In the remaining, unredacted portion of Vance's final note, written in a frantic scrawl and disguised as a harmless footnote buried in a technical appendix, specifically the coordinates for signal calibration, is a series of numbers. These numbers, when entered into a global positioning system, resolve to a single point, an abandoned, massive ionospheric facility deep in the Alaskan wilderness, hundreds of miles from any major settlement, hidden deep within a military reservation. This facility, built on millions of acres of restricted land under the guise of ecological research, is the structural epicenter of the conspiracy, the geographical point of no return for the investigation. The focus shifts completely to the forbidden location. The opening must juxtapose the cold beauty of nature with the dread of the human structure. The Alaskan cold hits you first, then the silence. A silence that doesn't feel empty, but suppressed. And then you see it. A fence line spanning a mile, guarding nothing but the sky. The silence itself is a warning, an unnatural void in a place that should be filled with the sounds of wind and wildlife. The air is too still, the atmosphere too heavy, reflecting the high-power, low-frequency electrical transmission humming beneath the surface, manipulating the very ionosphere above. The sheer architectural evidence of the facility is proof of the deception. Officially designated for atmospheric research, the scale of the antenna array, dozens of massive transmission towers, towering over the frozen landscape and connected by miles of heavy-gauge cable, is vastly excessive, far exceeding the stated power needs of any typical research station. The initial analysis reveals a highly suspicious structural anomaly. The facility's grounding system is 10 times more robust than required for its stated function. This level of reinforcement suggests it was built to handle massive, sustained, high-power ELF broadcast operations, requiring enormous negative discharge into the Earth. The ground itself was being prepared to carry a terrifying, intentional burden, the negative current of a massive transmission meant to blanket the continent. Further analysis of satellite imagery, cross-referenced with aging blueprint leaks from disaffected contractors, reveals the existence of the Ghost Wing, a completely shielded underground annex. This annex is unmarked and structurally separate from the main complex, hidden from all blueprints and secured with reinforced concrete several feet thick, suggesting protection from external threats or, more likely, containment of internal activities. This must be the control room for the unauthorized 3.5 Hertz broadcast, structurally proving that the facility has two distinct and contradictory purposes, one public, one clandestine. But the real structural proof wasn't in the steel. It was in the air. We discovered the airlocks on that annex weren't built to keep anything out. They were built to keep someone in. This implies a long-term, possibly involuntary, operational team, or perhaps the containment of the very equipment Dr. Vance specialized in, sealed away from official review. The investigation is interrupted by a sensory detail that pierces the heavy silence. A fleeting, high-pitched whine is captured on a field recorder, almost inaudible but present, just at the edge of human hearing. A spectrum analyzer immediately identifies it as a known carrier wave, a higher frequency used to piggyback and intensify the destructive power of the lower frequencies. Like the 3.5 Hertz signal, the frequency felt like a migraine you hadn't earned, a silent attack on the inner ear, a constant, oppressive pressure designed to wear down any prolonged investigation and force anyone in the vicinity to leave. It is a sign that the facility is not just dormant. It is actively humming with hidden function, broadcasting its signal right now and marking anyone nearby as a target of its influence. During a brief, calculated entry, circumventing multiple layers of electronic security and physical barriers using specialized bypass tools, the narrator obtains the facility's power logs. This is the central piece of evidence that moves the entire narrative from circumstantial proof to active ongoing execution. The pattern is immediate and terrifying. The power spikes exactly mirror the reported spikes in generalized anxiety disorder and acute sadness across major North American cities. These aren't just correlations. They are a synchronized command and response loop, proving the broadcast is specifically timed and deployed to control social temperament and suppress widespread dissent, acting as a throttle on public emotion. This confirms the core, defining secret. The 3.5 Hertz frequency is an active tool for large-scale covert social control, operating on the minds of millions without their knowledge or consent, treating the public as a massive, controllable herd whose moods can be adjusted by flipping a switch. Comment below. Have you felt unexplained anxiety or rage that corresponds with major national news events? We need to know if others have tracked this correlation. The investigation immediately escalates to the point of no return. The tone shifts from discovery to an urgent realization of active danger. This is the moment the theory collapses into reality. The logs don't just show they could do it. They show exactly why they are doing it and who is paying the price. The full scope of the treason against the public mind is laid bare, revealing a system of control deeper than any political conspiracy, one that leverages biology itself. The analysis of the power spikes leads to the master schedule. This deeply disturbing document reveals a cyclical, scheduled pattern directly tied to the forces of secrecy's political agenda. Low power spikes are consistently registered on major national election days, ensuring a compliant, easily distracted populace that won't engage in mass political action or question authority. Meanwhile, high-power spikes occur during times of economic downturn and during high-profile, contested legislative votes, ensuring public outrage is suppressed by self-directed distress, focusing anger inward instead of outward toward the powers controlling the economy. The 3.5 Hertz frequency is not just inducing anxiety, it is being modulated to create a specific emotional climate, distraction, distress, and compliance during moments of high public accountability, thereby guaranteeing operational stability for them by neutralizing democratic dissent. The financial trail confirms the scale of the deception. A deeply buried series of shell corporations, all linked back to the original Project Chimera, are shown to be receiving millions of dollars annually for atmospheric shielding. The operational cost of running a continuous, high-power ELF transmission to millions. The budget is vast, spanning decades, showing an entrenched conspiracy that outlived its original founders and became self-sustaining, hidden behind layers of bureaucratic complexity and false contracts for environmental remediation. The final piece of definitive evidence is a leaked military white paper titled Behavioral Compliance via Subhypnotic Pulsation. This report confirms the goal, not destruction or mass panic, but mass, low-level psychological attrition designed to create a compliant, distracted, and easily governable population. The paper theorizes that a population too tired, too anxious, and too self-absorbed to fight back is the perfect citizenry for a clandestine government. They detailed the long-term effects, noting a statistically significant decline in critical thinking skills, memory retention, and political engagement over just a few years of exposure. The cost of this control is the mental health of an entire continent, paid in stress, isolation, and sadness, and a permanent erosion of intellectual freedom. The climax of the investigation is a moment of immediate, existential fear. The narrator realizes, while analyzing the master schedule, that the power spike currently being displayed is active right now. The evidence is not historical. It is tied directly to the present, and by extension, directly to the audience's current state. The broadcast is active, the controls are engaged, and the psychological warfare is ongoing, targeting the narrator at the moment of their greatest triumph, making them question their own sanity under the strain. This realization triggers the response from them. Immediately after the master schedule is analyzed, a small, unmarked surveillance drone appears outside the narrator's isolated location, its mechanical whirring captured on security footage. The sheer, ice-cold certainty that they were found hits the narrator like a physical blow, a sudden, incapacitating sense of paranoia and exposure. The forces of secrecy know the information has been found, and the danger is no longer abstract. It is immediate. There is no time to gather more, only time to run and ensure the data survives. In a desperate, high-stakes move, the narrator prepares for immediate extraction and dissemination. They broadcast an urgent 30-second audio loop onto the open band of 3.5 Hertz, a chaotic anti-frequency countersignal designed to momentarily disrupt the broadcast and alert specific, prearranged external contacts of the findings and the need for immediate extraction. This is a digital SOS, a desperate flare sent into the very current that is trying to suppress them, gambling on a temporary breach of the operational schedule before the automated defenses can reassert full power. The final chapter is the reflective, quiet aftermath, contrasting the chaos of the climax with the deep, existential dread of the uncovered truth. The broadcast is momentarily disrupted, but the silence it leaves behind is the loudest part of the whole story. The truth isn't just about what they did, it's about what they changed inside us. The silence is unsettling. It's unsettling, confirming the dependency the world has built on the background noise of distress, and confirming that the human mind has been successfully conditioned to rely on its state of anxiety. The immediate aftermath confirms a brief, necessary success. The data shows a confirmed dip in the 3.5 Hertz spike in the hours following the counter-signal broadcast. The operation is vulnerable, but it is quickly corrected and stabilized by automated systems, which rapidly increase power to compensate. The truth is, the conspiracy is far more entrenched than a single facility. Evidence suggests the 3.5 Hertz broadcast is merely the starter signal. The full compliance network involves urban infrastructure, cell towers, smart meters, and even seemingly innocuous public utility masts are being used as local relays to intensify and target the effect at a hyper-local level, penetrating homes and offices with precision. Shutting down the HAARP facility is not the solution. The conspiracy is now integrated into modern life, turning common city architecture into instruments of control, making escape impossible without a technical countermeasure capable of broadcasting a solution. In a heartbreaking twist of lasting doubt, the final posthumous note from Dr. Elias Vance surfaces, recovered from an encrypted, dead-drop file that required a specific, non-digital key to access. He suggests he created a fail-safe counter-frequency, a 6 Hertz signal, which we will call the frequency of reversal, that can permanently neutralize the 3.5 Hertz effect On biological systems, essentially recalibrating the brain back to 7.83 Hertz. However, the apparatus needed to deploy this 6 Hertz signal across a wide area is still hidden. Vance realized that mere exposure was not enough. A technical solution was required to undo the physical damage inflicted on the public mind. This apparatus is our only real defense, representing the continuation of the battle that must be waged on the electromagnetic spectrum. Under extreme time pressure, knowing every digital activity is monitored, the narrator is forced to destroy all physical copies of the evidence, dousing them in industrial solvents and burning the remains to ash in a remote location, ensuring no forensic trace remains, keeping only the highly encrypted digital core, the master schedule, as they go into hiding. The ultimate cost of descent is now immediate survival, forcing the investigation underground and into secrecy, turning the narrator into a fugitive from an invisible enemy. The chilling, final realization is the true measure of the conspiracy's success. The anxiety, depression, and rage the broadcast induces are now so normalized that when the 3.5 Hertz signal is momentarily disrupted, people actually miss the background buzz. They have been so long immersed in the induced state that their minds have been permanently rewired to accept the distress as the new normal, confusing internal suffering with the stability of the broadcast. The psychological damage is deep and lasting, a silent prison built of frequency that requires a coordinated effort to dismantle. The video concludes with a single ambiguous image, a satellite photo of a small, nondescript town with an abnormally high number of residential roof-mounted antennas, the suspected location of Dr. Vance's hidden fail-safe apparatus, disguised as standard commercial equipment. This small town, with its unsuspecting residents, is the new epicenter of hope and the next target for the forces of secrecy. The narrator's final words are a direct, paranoid warning, tying the danger back to the audience. It's not over. It's only paused. They know you watched this, and now they are waiting for you to forget. Share this video immediately. If the count drops suddenly, you'll know why. The files we found today confirm that the forces of compliance are far more organized and relentless than we ever imagined, leaving the truth hidden in the electromagnetic shadows. If you refuse to accept the induced calm of the consensus, hit like, share this video immediately to circumvent the filters, and subscribe to join the hunt for the truth that remains hidden. What signs of the 3.5 Hertz frequency have you felt in your own life? Tell us in the comments below, because while they wait for you to forget what you've just learned, Dr. Vance's frequency of reversal is still out there, waiting to be found.